Hi, my name is Nick. I'm the lead developer at Accounting Add-ons, and today I'll show you how to connect BudgetLink to your MYOB AccountEdge product that runs on the Mac. I'll be using Windows and MYOB AccountWrite to do the work, mainly because I don't have a Mac machine, but the steps involved are essentially the same. Now there's one condition to all this working, and that is that BudgetLink needs to be running on a Windows machine. It can either run on an actual Windows machine, or if you've got Parallels or any Windows emulator installed, you can also launch that and start BudgetLink within that emulation environment. Other than that, BudgetLink will be able to connect to your Mac data. Now the first step is basically to extract the data out of MYOB. To do this, you'll need to be in MYOB, whichever product of MYOB that you do use. The technique I'm going to show you works for MYOB AccountWrite 19.9, any versions of AccountEdge, but does not work with AccountWrite 2013, unfortunately. The first step is to extract the data that you need. So we'll need to extract 4 sets of files: the accounts, the jobs, the linked accounts, and the journal records out of MYOB. And there's various reports or exports that we need to do to achieve that. Now I'll first start off by extracting the list of jobs. To do that, you can go to your file menu within AccountWrite or AccountEdge. You can go to Export Data, Jobs, and make sure you choose Tab Delimited as the file format and include the header record. You can then press Continue, match all to include all the fields that exist within MYOB, and export this data out. The file will need to be saved into a folder. In this case, I've prepared a demo data files folder called MYOB Mac. The folder doesn't really matter, but you will need to save all your files together, and you will need to name this file Mac_jobs and save that file. That's the first export. The next step is to export your journal records. To do this, you go to your file menu, Export Data, and Transaction Journals. From this, you've got to make sure you choose Tab Delimited as the file format, include your header record, and make sure you choose to include all journals. You need to include all journals because you want your general journals, your sales, your purchases, disbursements, receipts, and inventory adjustments. You can restrict the date, but I typically recommend that you leave those 2 fields blank, which ensures that you're exporting all your data out of MYOB, and consequently you can then run reports on any time period that you need. You can then press Continue. From the next screen, make sure you match all your data and include all the fields, and press Export. You'll need to export the file to the same folder that you've exported your jobs, and in this case you'll call the file Mac_journal records.txt and save that out. Now there's 2 more exports to do, but these are done via the reports. So first I'll bring up the report screen and I'll go to the Accounts tab. Now from the Accounts tab, you'll need to run 2 reports, being the Accounts List Detail and the Linked Accounts report. I'll start with the Accounts List Detail. It's a matter of selecting it, clicking Customize. There's a few settings that need to be perfect in order to produce a report. The main thing are the As Of field essentially ensures that the balance sheet or the closing balance is produced correctly. So you're going to make sure you pick the last date of the previous financial year. In this case, it'll be 30th of June, 2012. You need to make sure you include all the fields, and it's just a matter of ticking that All Include Fields checkbox there, and it'll include all the fields in the report. And on the Finishing tab, you need to ensure you include 0 balances and inactive accounts. If you don't include both of these, there might be some accounts that don't get included in the report, by which point they won't be included in BudgetLink either. So those 2 options are very important. And then it's a matter of displaying the report. Once you've done this, you can actually send the report down to a tab delimited text file at the bottom. And this file will need to be saved in the same folder as the previous one, but for this file it'll have to be called Mac_accounts.txt and save that file. Now the last report to produce is the linked accounts report. It's just a matter of customizing this report. You want to keep the default so you don't actually need to change anything, and you can actually display this report intact. It's a matter of sending this report to a tab delimited text file, and again the name is very important. This one needs to be called Mac_linked accounts and save in the exact same folder as the other files. Now that we have all the data exported out of MYOB, it's just a matter of actually connecting BudgetLink to this data. So I'll go back to BudgetLink, and this is the brand new setup screen. So I'll accept the terms, I'll do a new installation. It'll ask me to start my trial, which I'll start, and I'll choose the BudgetLink Ultimate Edition and press OK. From the screen it'll say there's no data file set up. Do you want to set up one now? And I'll say yes. I'll call this data file sample, and in the data file type I want to choose MYOB Mac interface. I need to nominate where the export files are located, so I'll just browse, and in my example they're located on my C drive in development, demo client data files, MYOB back, and I can just press open. I don't actually need to select any files, but you can if need be. And you do need to nominate what the current financial year is, in this case 2013, and what the last month of the financial year is, in this case June. We don't actually read this data from MYOB, so it's important that this is configured within this dialog. It's a matter of clicking OK, clicking close on this dialog, and the next step that BudgetLink will prompt is to do a full get data. I'll do OK on this, and it's a matter of waiting while the get data is being retrieved from these export files and waiting for the process to be finished, and after that you can run your reports. Now the get data process has finished running, and now it's a matter of confirming that the numbers are correct within BudgetLink. So what I'll do is I'll close the get data progress dialog and I'll run the monthly report pack. I'll go to the monthly profit and loss report, and you can see right now my accounts down the page are displayed, my months across the page are displayed, and you can actually see the values for the whole company. If I hit customize, I can change the job to be, let's say, 115 supplier of coolers, and press OK, and I should see the appropriate profit and loss figures, which I do. So that to me confirms that the profit and loss report pack is working and that the numbers have been retrieved out of MYOB into those sticks files and then pulled in to BudgetLink. Now that pretty much concludes the process of connecting BudgetLink to your MYOB AccountEdge on the Mac. The main thing to be mindful of is that any financial information has to be re-exported back out if you want to see the information into BudgetLink. Transaction journals, journal records are very important to export out of MYOB because they contain your profit and loss and your balance sheet figures. Your chart of account is not as crucial unless you do changes to your chart of account. While on the job side, if you use jobs as jobs and you create jobs often, you will want to export that every single time. On the other hand, if you use jobs as departments, you can kind of get away with just exporting it at once, unless you do changes to the jobs list in MYOB. I'm glad you followed through this episode and learned how to connect BudgetLink to your MYOB AccountEdge data. I hope it's been valuable. Main thing to be mindful of, if you've got any problems, feel free to contact us, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers, see ya.